Anybody else coming in, Bill? Oh yeah, there's more people coming in. Okay. Are we ready to go, Bill?
Yeah, you may begin whenever.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is a very important meeting for the community of the Long Hill Green area. Before I get started with my comments, I want to introduce those people that will be with us this evening and will be participating in the meeting. First, Rena Baclar, our Economic and Community Development Director. Rena, why don't you just say hi, because I won't hear you.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you. Gary Sorge from Stantec.
Good evening, everyone.
Bill Maurer from the town of Trumbull, one of our town engineers.
Good evening, everyone.
Kent Gannon, also from Stantec.
Good evening.
Thank you, Kent. And Tatiana Salave, also one of our town engineers.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. So now that we've introduced, let me just give you a few talking points about what we're going to be doing here this evening. So first of all, I want to welcome everyone here. We've had at least 3 of these community meetings over my tenure to engage stakeholders in the planning for the Long Hill Green area and to update residents on progress, including construction timelines and other efforts. I hope you will all agree that this area is being improved with new businesses and amenities. However, we have more to do. When I came into office in 2017, we made the safety of this area a priority. We did extensive planning. We have secured significant grant funds to support much of what you will hear about tonight. Some of these improvements have taken considerable time to get to the point of construction, but I assure you, we have pushed every step of the way. Some of these projects required easements to be acquired. We had to take one small area by eminent domain. We had to go through an extensive design and approval process with the Connecticut Department of Transportation. We had to get permits from DEEP, the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. We have faced inflation and the need to seek additional grants and supply chain issues. I'm sharing this information with you because it's important that the public understands the intricacies of what goes into getting the green light to proceed on projects. I want you to know the town hall staff and our consultants have been diligent in pushing through these many steps and challenges. I want to thank all of them for their hard work. You will hear tonight detailed updates on several upcoming projects. We will also update you on the new things we will begin to work on. You will have time to ask questions, raise concerns and ideas. So thank you again for joining us and being an active and interested resident. You help make this town a great place. So I'm going to turn the meeting back to Rena now, and we will proceed with the presentations.
Thank you, Vicki. It's kind of fun to be here. When we started this effort with you back when you came in, you said we need to do a detailed plan for the area. And we, like you said, we worked with the community. And we said back then that this would not just be a plan on the shelf, that this would be our roadmap, and that we were going to work this plan, that we're going to seek dollars, we're going to incrementally try to implement the priority projects that the community worked with us on to outline in that plan. And that's exactly what's happening. And there's already been some accomplishments there in Long Hill Green. There's been new developments and businesses come in there. We did a phase 1 of a green infrastructure project out in front of Franco Gianni's that folks can see when they drive by. And so we've done some, the work that our town engineers and our commissions did with, shepherding through the Long Hill Market Plaza and you know, the reclamation, if you will, of the waterway, wetlands and floodway and all. I'm using the wrong term, you know, I'm not a wetlands person, yeah, but I'm, you know, that did in you know, just the reparations there were huge for that area. So tonight we're going to talk about the installation of some sidewalks in the area. Bill Maurer, our town engineer, and Tatiana and others will tell you where that's at. Anyone who is driven by the area will see that it's been staked and that construction is imminent in that area. And there will be some disruption that they'll talk about. We're going to talk also about the signal at Whitney and Main and the intersection improvements that associate with that and the eventual crosswalk in that area. So Bill and Tatiana and others will discuss that. We're also going to talk about, I will come back and take the mic again and talk about the Green Infrastructure Phase 2 project that we received some funding for. And as Vicki said, some other upcoming things that we're going to start to work on. So I want to turn this over now to Bill Maurer, our town engineer, and our deputy town engineer, Tatiana Salovey, to discuss the sidewalk project. And I want to mention that this sidewalk project is being funded from a community connectivity grant that was a competitive grant that we won for $400,000 through the State Department of Transportation. So there you go, Bill, you're on.
Thank you, Rena. Good evening, everyone again. If I can share my screen, I will give you a quick overview of the project. And let's try this. And hopefully everybody can see the screen. This is an overview of the sidewalks from Gisela up to Whitney. The first phase that we're doing is along the the west side of Main Street. And the phase goes up to the section that connects to the traffic signal project, which is right at the Vets exit parking lot. And as Rena said, they've staked the sidewalk. Excuse me. They staked the sidewalk and are starting as pretty much as we speak. I know they've put in the silt fences and they plan on mobilizing this week. The sidewalk is 5 foot wide. And if I can share, the next section actually shows a better detail. It goes from, there's a crosswalk at Gisela and it proceeds south towards Whitney. In front of, it crosses the Governor's Ridge, Governor's Trumbull Way parking entrance. There's a bus pad that we put in for bus connectivity. And then, excuse me, I really have a sore throat here. The culvert on Fars Brook gets extended towards the west, and it gets extended so that we can build a sidewalk over the stream, and then continues to the south to where it matches into where the signal will be. The terminus is at a place where we're going to be realigning the driveways. So this is the end of the Vets exit, and this phase of the sidewalk ends here. Because the signal isn't in yet, we will not be constructing the sidewalk on the east side of the road, only because we don't want to encourage traffic, foot traffic across the road with an unsignaled crossing. So that phase will go in after the phasing of the traffic signal. The traffic signal is, can I just roll right into this?
Bill, can you just tell folks where the sidewalk will be on the other side? Just so
Sure,
that
right.
they're aware of what it will look like. And you were clear that that other side of the road, the east side of the road, am I getting that right? In front of Long Hill Market,
Yes,
that piece can't go in per DOT until the signal is active and fully functioning, because they don't want to encourage too much pedestrian activity without a light, right?
that's correct.
So, great, but let's give folks an idea so we don't
So
have
this
to
is,
return to
so this is in front of Long Hill Market. That's the correct name.
Yes,
So there's a sidewalk in front here. There's an existing stone wall. Then this section here of the sidewalk actually connects with the sidewalk that is on the property of Long Hill Market. And there's a footbridge across the stream. And let me get to the right plan. There's a footbridge that connects, and it doesn't show. There's a footbridge over here that's back on the property, and it goes through the parking lot and will connect to the other section here on the east side, around the corner and up Whitney to Broadway.
right. So this section here that you're showing isn't where Mariana's and Trumbull Pizza and that. So anything that's missing there will be connected by sidewalks. So the whole area, once the signal's in, there will be sidewalks from Gisela to Whitney and Main. Then on the other side of the street, the good portion of the length of the Long Hill Market Plaza property around the corner all the way to Broadway. So once the light's in, you can walk through that area safely from place to place. And ideally can either walk to the destination from their homes or park once and walk to multiple places within the Long Hill Green Village safely.
In the next phase of the project overall is the intersection signalization, which there's a signal that actually, let me go to the next page.
While Bill's
The turning
finding that,
lane-
I just want to mention that, so the sidewalk project, just to be clear, is fully funded by a grant. It has gone out to bid, a contractor's been selected, the contractor is mobilizing on the site. And that sidewalk work on the side, the west side, the side that Governor's Ridge is on, will be ongoing from when to when, do you think, Bill and Tatiana?
It'll be ongoing through probably midsummer, I would imagine.
Okay, so, and just so everyone knows that's listening, whether you're on tonight or you're watching this after through one of our links, you can check back the town's website, and the First Selectman's office has been putting up regular updates on the construction through the area. So the sidewalk construction is what you will see first. Go ahead, Bill, you're at the intersection project now.
Yeah, the
signal-
intersection project, we're in the process of awarding it. We have a low bidder. Part of this project is also grant funded. And it actually, in order to make the state's requirements, we had to reconfigure a parking lot here and a driveway, combine the two so that they aligned with the intersection from Whitney. The signal will have a controlled signal from all directions, all four directions, from Whitney, from north and south on Main Street, and from the parking driveway / parking across the road from Whitney. The currently just so everybody is well aware of it, the signalization equipment is a long lead time. Supply chain issues and whatnot have made the lead time on this in the excess of 6 months, maybe even closer to 9. So that being said, we can't finish the other side of the sidewalk on the east side until this traffic signal goes in. So this project will look like it's not going anywhere for a while. But believe me, it's as soon as we can get the equipment, we're gonna put it in.
So Bill, to that point, once we have all the funding in place for the intersection changes, the driveway alignments, the signal, the crosswalk piece, this separate project, related project, but separate. So just so folks listening know, the town Board of Finance and the town council put about 555,000 toward the signal. When we went out to bid finally, once DOT, it took a long time for them to approve our design for this area. It's a very detailed process. Once they approved it, we went out to bid and the bids came back. There was inflation. They came back high. So that caused us, First Selectman Tesoro and myself, met with MetroCog, our regional planning agency, and we applied for grant funding to fund the gap between what the town had allocated for the signal intersection project and what the current cost of that project was. And we did receive a $500,000 up to $500,000 grant to complete this project. So we were lucky that we were able to secure grant funding to fill that financing gap. That also caused some delay in awarding the contract. And to Bill's point, he talked about the signal equipment and the lead time. Well, people at home might be saying, well, why didn't they order the signal equipment? You know, the signal equipment has to be ordered by the contractor that we hire once everybody's in place. Is that correct, Bill?
That's correct.
And yeah, and that's, so we had to get to a point where we could actually hire the contractor, which we're working on right now, as Bill noted. We have all the money in place and they will have to place the order for the signal. And we know of that the delays are significant because our consultants, Stantec, work on projects around the state and in other states as well. And that kind of equipment is very back ordered. And when we did the project on Route 111 by Prime 111 in that plaza, that was a long time to get the signal equipment. In fact, we're still waiting on that project to get the signal arms powder coated, hopefully the end of June. So that project is moving along, nearing completion, but many of the delays on that project, just like can happen here, have to do, as Bill said, with the supply chain issues and so forth for that equipment. So I just wanted to make sure. Bill, so the intersection project has the driveway aligning with the intersection, the signal installation and the crosswalks, right, are part
That's
of
correct.
that. Was there any other thing that's going to change in that intersection?
Well, there's gonna be a left-hand turn lane from the southbound traffic on Main Street,
Okay,
which should help move traffic along. Part of this project can be done even though we don't have the signal equipment, like the sidewalk and the realignment of the parking lot could be done prior to the traffic signal.
right.
So it's not like it's gonna start the project, order the parts away from to come in. There'll be pieces of this that can be done right away.
Yep. Okay. So those are two major construction projects in this area that are underway. The sidewalks will get underway, the signal and intersection, and then the sidewalk on the other side of the street. And that'll all be happening between now and probably next spring, I'm going to say, because they're going to have to be things that get finished up. But you'll start to see major activity. Check back to the website for updates on where that stands. And we are trying to communicate directly as well to the business owners and property owners in the area so that they can plan accordingly. So we're going to go to some other projects, and when we're done with everything, we're going to open the chat. Bill, is that how it works? No. How are we going to take questions? People raise their hand.
Yes, so any member of the public can raise their hand with the raise hand button.
Okay, so we're going to finish up our discussions about other projects and some upcoming things. So the Stantec folks, by the way, have worked with us on all of these projects, and including the plan we did for Long Hill Green, and they've been our partners, and they've been terrific in helping us. And back a few years ago, we got grant money to do a green infrastructure project out in front of Franco Gianni's. You folks in the community will remember that we moved the parking, and we put in permeable paver system there that traps stormwater, and the Stantec folks are the technical people. They can talk about the benefits of that. I don't even want to touch that, but and you'll see that we only did half of that area. But I think I've heard from so many people in the community how much better it looks, and it's functioning better. So we've been looking and applying for grants to finish the rest of Broadway and that other parking area. So the whole area is unified with the green infrastructure and has a plaza look and creates more function, and it's aesthetically more pleasing. And so we did finally receive a grant for $250,000 from the National Fish and Wildlife Long Island Sound Fund. And we just got our contract at 5 o'clock today. So the money is in-house. That project is currently in design. Stantec's doing the design, and that project will go out to bid hopefully by early August. And that project, and we will communicate again with the business owners and property owners on timing, but that project will be a fall 2023 project. So you will see that area transform. And if the Stantec folks can talk a little bit about the benefits of that green infrastructure, that would help me. And Gary, if you have any depiction just to show of the area that we're talking about. You're on mute, Gary.
Yes, I'll do that now, Rena. I'll have my slide should come up, but let me back up here. And
Nope, that's Whitney. That's coming next.
yeah, I'm getting there. Just everything's a little slow when you go into the
These large drawings.
We'll get there. Okay. So if everyone can see, this is the overall plan of Long Hill that was produced back in, I believe, 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Bill Mara had gone through a number of the projects here. These are the sidewalks leading up to the intersection at the top of Whitney Avenue here. You can see the signal. What Rena's speaking to now is the green and the two large parking areas, or the large parking areas in front of Gianni's, and then the one to the north of it on Broadway. So here you're seeing an enlargement. On the right, that's my practicing my photography skills with my shadow in the photograph. What you're seeing there are the pavers installed in front of Gianni's. And what you don't see is how this pavement is actually functioning. It's a full depth profile of about 16 to 20 inches of pavers and the subsurface and the subterranean stone layers. So hardly a drop of water will flow off of this pavement and off the roads and into the neighboring tributaries. It's all infiltrating. So that is green infrastructure at its best. And there's a sign in the area, I believe, that describes the system. So water falling on this surface does not run off. It seeps between the pavers and gets into the stone layers below. And the stone layers below are designed so that the structural integrity of the system is all maintained so that you can support vehicles on the surface. Now, this has been in place now at least 2.5 years, I believe, and it's holding up really well, and it brings a whole new aesthetic. And the pavers are actually extended all the way to the face of the buildings. So you have that cohesive look. On the left side here, you're seeing the original Long Hill plan. The south section, the dashed in area, is the area that's already been constructed. And Rena is referring to the north area, which is next in line, which the town has successfully obtained a grant for. So not only will you have this existing system, we'll extend it all the way up to Whitney Avenue. So all of the south section of Broadway will now be this more aesthetically pleasing paver, and certainly improving the stormwater quality of anything that's landing on this pavement, because it, again, in the future will be infiltrating. And then it becomes an adjacency to the green. So if the town in the future ever programs this space, now you have this more attractive pavement surface as an extension of the green, fronting right up to the businesses that will benefit from these improvements. Ken, from an engineering standpoint, is there anything that you'd like to include in terms of the design and the technical aspects of the profile?
No, I think you hit it, spoke pretty well about the benefits there. I think to kind of, simplify the approach here. If you think of a traditional asphalt parking lot, anything that lands on that surface, any stormwater that's flowing over that surface is going to pick that up, and it's going to deposit it into a storm drain, which will eventually discharge into a water body, whether that be a lake, a river, a stream, and an ocean. So what Gary hit on here, the benefit here is anything that lands on this parking lot now gets infiltrated back into the subsurface soil. So it gets collected and flows between the gaps in the pavers, enters that stone that's underneath these pavers. And then the infiltration, so that just means the water flowing through the subgrade soil, helps to clean any of those pollutants that are in that stormwater runoff, and before it hits the water table, and then ultimately, obviously, before it gets to any water body. So it's got that benefit. You don't really see the benefit right here. You really see the benefit downstream from this site.
Those are all good points, Ken, because the grants are successful because we're essentially dealing with water quality and water quantity leaving the site. Because this drainage watershed is a tributary to the Paquonic River, which is then a tributary to the Long Island Sound. So it's that whole system that the grant reviewers consider, and that's how the town has been successful in gaining grant money for the project. The photo in the bottom right that's on your screen shows the modeling that we have in the pavers, the variation in color. So sometimes when you're there, you can experience the texture and you can see the delineation of the parking spaces, not by using paint, by just using a different color in the paving stones. And again, this is the concept that's going to extend to the north up to Whitney Avenue in the coming months. That's what we have, Rena.
That's great. Can you leave the slide up, the bigger picture of the green area? Yeah.
This one here?
Yep, that's perfect. I want to talk now about some things that are yet to come or that we're working on. So there's, as you know, there's an older, this was an older area here that we have built up this village area. We're making it more walkable, more functional, safer, top priority. But the green space, we did use some grant money that we had to kind of clear some of it off. There was a variety of different things on the green that, were not working. But we didn't have enough funding at that time to really do a full design for the green space and a planting plan and should we have walls? Where should they go? How should this green space be integrated with the adjacent roadway that, and so that they function together and all of that. So our Board of Finance and our Town Council did approve $100,000 in funding for us to look at designing this area. And we know that will allow us some money for implementation as well. We don't need $100,000 to design it. So that is something we're going to be getting underway this summer. So we'll report back to the community, and we may even come out for some input from the community. We had some input in the plan from what folks wanted to see there and how they wanted it to look, but we will revisit that, as that project develops. But so you're going to see change to that green space as well. Garrett, can you go down to the Whitney Avenue trail connector to from Dunellen? That you had that slide up a few minutes ago. So the other project that we are working on in the area is from Whitney Avenue, down Whitney Avenue, from where the current sidewalk, let's say, there we go. So currently, we used some grant funding to previously extend a sidewalk connection to the corner of Dunellen and Whitney, so folks in that neighborhood could safely walk up to the commercial area, and visitors as well. There was a big retaining wall installed. Then the town funded the design of the next leg of that project, which would go from Dunellen down to the trailhead. And that area sees people walking and biking up the hill. It's a very narrow hill. It's not safe currently to walk through there. So after much discussion with the community about options of how to connect the commercial area to the trail, it was determined that the best approach, and the approach that had the most community support, was to go straight down Whitney from Dunellen. In other words, continue the sidewalk connection. So that project is fully designed, and we are seeking funding. I did apply for a grant from the state trail funding. We did not receive the grant, but they did send us a letter suggesting some other pools of dollars that we might want to tap into, and that's always helpful. That's how I got the money from National Fish and Wildlife. We were trying to get a different kind of grant, and when that wasn't getting funded, they suggested that the project might fit under National Fish and Wildlife, this particular fund, and we applied for it and got it. So it's always helpful to apply, see what the funder has to say. It was a very competitive pool of funding, and to take some pointers from them. So we're diligent. We're looking, again, this is a shovel-ready project, which, see, the town's been very smart in getting projects around town shovel-ready, which means they're fully designed and we're ready to go. If we can get the funding in place, we can, go out to bid shortly thereafter. That's what the federal government, that's what the state government are interested in funding. So that gives us an advantage. So we will continue to seek dollars to get this project done and have a nice, safe connection from the trailhead to the commercial center. That benefits residents, that benefits visitors, it benefits our businesses. So stay tuned for that. So right now, those are the projects that are either underway or that we are working on in Long Hill Green. I think that I will ask if anybody on the panel here wants to add anything before we ask Bill to see if there's any comment or question from people in the audience. Is anybody here? Okay. So it sounds like we're all good. So Bill, can we see if there are any folks that would like to raise their hand?
Sure. If anybody would like to make a comment, just please press the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen.
Do we have anyone that would like to inquire about anything we talked about? Or if we didn't talk about it, if there's some other question you have or suggestion you have for Long Hill Green, you can feel free to speak to that.
It looks like Miss O'Neill and Miss Randall, I'll promote you as a panelist. You'll just have to accept that.
Do they know? Do you need any guidance? Do they need any guidance?
I just gave Miss O'Neill a speaking ability, so I think she's ready.
Yes, I am. I have just a question about, I live at Governor's Ridge, and exiting Governor's Ridge is difficult now at times. And as the sidewalks are being constructed, it could become problematic. Any problems with certain times of the day? Because you'd also have school buses that pick up, and you have the exit from Dunkin' Donuts, the drive-through. So we can see it, those of us who are in the area.
Thank you for that, Ms. O'Neill. If our town engineers wanted to talk about construction timing and coordination, there will be some disruption, unfortunately, particularly when we're putting the sidewalks through your area and then the light. I think over time, once the light's in, that will help slow the traffic through the area and allow for you to come in and out better. But in the interim, it is going to be disruptive. Have we made any plans with the contractor around the school bus schedule, Bill, or anything like that to help alleviate those concerns?
So all school buses always have the right to go through. We don't stop buses. We don't change bus stops. They always continue as they always are.
Okay, so the contractors are aware they have to make that
Yeah.
safe and that accommodation?
That's correct.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to comment to Fran's concerns, Ms. O'Neill's concerns?
Well, as you also pointed out, the traffic signal when that's in should help their exiting their their facility much easier, slowing down traffic and being able to turn left or right without a lot of complications.
So Bill, if I could, it's Vicky Tesoro. I believe there will be police in the area helping with traffic issues around with the contractor, correct?
That's correct. There'll be a police officer there, a special duty police officer, all the time that they're working in the right of way.
Right, so that will help to alleviate hopefully most of the traffic issues that may arise there, or at least assist in helping people who have to get out of Governor's Ridge
That's correct.
or out of Dunkin' Donuts or wherever in that area until, certainly till that's done, until, of course, the light, as you said, being installed will help with all of that as well, but that's down the road, no pun intended, for a little while longer, so.
And Ms. O'Neill, if you want to keep in touch with me during the construction period, if anything's coming up or you want some updates that you're not seeing, or, you can reach me in my office at 203-452-5043 or by email. And that's rbakallar@trumbull-ct.gov. My contact is also on the town website under economic development, and I'd be happy to work on getting any answers or updates for you and anyone. That goes for anyone else. So it's Rena Bakalar, 203-452-5043.
Yeah, thank you, because we've noted it. Many of us are fortunate not having to go out right at the height of the commuter time, but we can see the difference and the difficulty. Sometimes you're going right to go left.
Yeah, yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got Ms. Randall. Okay, and Joanne.
Miss Randall, is she here?
Yeah, she's looks like her microphone is unmuted. Okay, let's skip to Joanne.
Okay, Joanne.
Yes, hi. I also am a neighbor of Fran O'Neill's and Governor's Ridge. And if I heard Fran correctly, I think she was also addressing the period where after the construction of the sidewalks are completed, how entering and exiting that area will be. We've heard that putting a light at Whitney will quote unquote help us. I think it's hard to see how that will help entering and exiting Governor's Ridge, because to me, it seems like the cars will stop in front of our entrance and exit right there as we're waiting at the light. So I was wondering if that could be addressed about how that light will help people entering and exiting Governor's Ridge. along with all the other things, because it seems like you're just gonna have a row of cars in front of you now because they're stopped at a light. So maybe that needs clarity, I think.
I'm going to turn over to our engineers for that explanation. I don't know if Bill or Gary or Kent wants to speak to that from a traffic engineering perspective.
From a traffic engineering side, there's a very large queuing that, and the signal timing will not allow that queuing to back all the way up to Governor's Ridge. I mean, I don't know what the traffic count is, but it's a very long ways before that traffic would back up to block Governor's Ridge traffic coming in or out.
Are you
Yeah,
saying, Bill, that the timing on it senses how many people are? Can
There's-
you just,
Well, there's going to be a camera on it too, so
it'll
the signal will
sense,
have a camera that will actually, trigger. If there's no cars there, it will allow traffic to flow through. But
and if there's
Yeah.
too many cars there, it will start to, it'll let cars through. Is that what?
I'm
happened?
not sure about that. Maybe Ken could actually.
Yeah, so how this usually works is when we go about designing a signal like this, there's an extensive traffic report that's done before that, and part of that traffic report is counting the number of vehicles that go up and down Route 111, what sort of turning movements they do. So when we go about designing a signal like this, it's optimized for the expected traffic on the road. So when it's designed, they give a traffic signal. It's given a letter grade is one way to look at it. So you want your traffic signal to function at the highest grade possible. So an A is better than a B is better than a C. And what that has to do is the amount of delay one experiences at the light. So when we go about designing this, we want to minimize the delay at the light. So if the delay would be, I guess the way to put it is the delay would be unacceptable if traffic were to back up all the way to Governor's Ridge. So it's been designed with the phasing of the lights for that not to happen. So we have turn lanes that have been sized appropriately for the number of turning vehicles, and then the phasing and the timing of the lights kind of moves the traffic through the area most efficiently.
Kathy, it's also fair to say that with the signalization, it provides gaps in the movement
Yeah.
of traffic that will allow people from Governor's Ridge to make the left when they want to make a left.
Yeah, exactly. And that was going to be my next point. So if you're going to take a left at a Governor's Ridge, you have nothing stopping any flow of traffic now. So finding a gap can be difficult. If you imagine the traffic signals installed, you could potentially have a red light going north on 111, and that's going to give you a gap in traffic in that northbound traffic flow where you can make that left-hand turn. So that should ease that movement. One of the other things I wanted to hit on when Bill was kind of speaking about the traffic signal originally too is for pedestrian traffic. So there's going to be a dedicated pedestrian phase at that traffic signal as well. So there'll be new pedestrian signal heads at the intersection. So if you were to walk to that intersection, you hit the push button for the pedestrian signal, and that'll give you your own designated phase. So you don't need to look for turning cars or cars moving straight. You'll have your own phase to walk safely across both Whitney or Main Street.
Great. Thank you. Joanne, did that sort of answer your question? Did you have any follow-up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does clarify some things, and I also think it's a matter of having it once it's implemented, seeing how it all goes.
Yeah.
I am very, pleased for the sidewalks going in and down Whitney and on Main Street. I think that it's not walkable now. It's dangerous. And cars just go into the shoulder when you're walking there. It's awful. So that's a real plus. It really is helpful. The other concern is across the street, not on the Dunkin' Donuts side, but the other side, they wanted to change the egress going in and out. And so now, and people go out when they're supposed to go in now. And that's another area before that light that we're going to be having to look across the street for cars coming in and out if that changes. And I don't know where the status of that is. But that's another concern too. And now, and so it just seems like there's a lot going on with walkers, pedestrians in front of Governor's Ridge, going up to Whitney, hoping people will stop when they're supposed to or yield to pedestrians. But across the street, you're looking, when you turn now, cars are not following the directions as they're now going into that complex, and they wanted to change it. So does anyone know the status of that now? Have
I
they?
can speak a little to that. DOT, when the developer was coming forward, they wanted you could go in or out both ways, right? And DOT was concerned about sightline issues there. Bill, correct me if I'm saying anything, and so they did not approve it that way. They approved it the way it is now. So you can go, you know how it is now. The developer at one point, the owner of the plaza, had talked about trying to come back to planning and zoning and back to DOT to change that, because there was some concerns within that lot about how that was functioning for people parking and trying to walk to the businesses and so forth. At this point, he has not followed up on bringing that back to us. It would have to come back to the Planning and Zoning Commission and back to the state. So right now, I think, I can't say he'll never bring it back, but I haven't heard about a desire to bring that back in about 9 or 10 months. So if you stay in touch with me, if I hear anything, I certainly can let folks know, but right now, I think it's going to stay as it is. And he's going to have to decide if he's going to want to try to bring that back. And there's even if he comes back to planning and zoning and Trumbull for it and it's no guarantee that the state is going to, approve that either. They have to prove that the sightlines are adequate and stuff. But I think that now that people are starting to get used to the internal workings of the plaza, I think it's going a little bit better. When the plaza first opened, there were people, parking, and then people didn't understand that they were coming out of the Dunkin' and had to, weren't supposed to turn into the lot from there. So there's a lot of chaos in that first, people have to get used to things. So I think now that folks are used to it, I think everybody's calmed down about that issue. So right now it's not back on the table. It could come back at some point, but.
All right, thank you. That's
Sure.
helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Is anybody else with their hand up? Bill?
There are no other residents with their hand up at this time. If anybody would like to make a comment, just press the raise hand button.
Okay. So just for if folks here have friends that weren't able to attend, or we will be sending a link out in the community television. We'll have it in their on demand. Is that what it's referred to as, Bill? And they're on demand, and we'll put a link up on social media, and we'll put it also on the planning and zoning website on our webpage. So if folks want to revisit this, or perhaps direct others to listen for themselves that might want the details. So we appreciate all of you, and I'll turn it over to our first selectman for any closing comments she may have.
Thanks, Rena. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone that was here this evening to help present this information. This is an exciting area, and I think it will continue to be so as we continue with these renovations of this area. So, as Rena said, please check back on the town website. We'll have regular updates for the different parts of this project. The light, as Bill Maurer said, is going to take some time before that can get installed. As you are probably maybe also following the Route 111 light project as well, and realignment of the trail. That has taken a long time as well. Anytime, as I said earlier, that we're dealing with the state and with delays of materials, it's just taking even longer than usual, which is frustrating for all of us, but we're certainly much closer now than we have been in a long time. So I appreciate everyone's understanding and patience. So again, you can always reach me at my office as well. My number is 203-452-5007 if you have any questions. And Rena, also gave her number up before too. So, but please watch the town website. We are continuing to provide regular updates for this project and other projects going on in town. So thank you again, everybody. I don't think we have anyone else. Bill, has anyone else raised their hand since we started talking? Okay, so have a good night, everybody, and we will talk soon.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Have a good
Good night.
evening. Bye.